Good morning. We're going to go ahead and give everybody a couple seconds to get logged in, and then we will get started on today's presentation. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started today. Welcome to the Bureau of Disability Services presentation on supporting choice. My name's Sarah Van Sickle. I'm the Quality and Training Manager for Liberty for the Bureau of Disability Services. I'm joined today by Kim Culley, Quality Assurance Director for the Bureau of Disability Services, and Shelley Thomas, Outcomes Management Director for the Bureau of Disability Services. We'd like to start with just a few housekeeping reminders. Please use chat only for immediate technical issues. Use the Q&A button to ask questions. Closed captioning is available, and in order to see the live transcriptions, you're going to click the closed caption. Complete the evaluation that will be sent to you in a follow-up email. That email that you get within about 24 hours of today's presentation will also serve as the confirmation that you attended. The recording today will be uploaded to the FSSA YouTube channel after the live sessions have been conducted. Today, we're going to go over upcoming trainings. We'll do a review of the HCBS settings rule. We'll review a definition of choice, identifying choice, ways to support individuals in making choices or decisions, and ways to support DSPs with supporting individual choices. We'll also talk about what's coming up next. Last year's topics on these presentations included discussions on the home and community-based settings rule. Specific topics were about guardianship and decision-making, access to personal resources, teamwork, abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and supporting individuals with dual diagnosis. This year, we're going to take a deeper dive into the home and community-based settings rule with discussions and examples surrounding topics that will include today's training on supporting choice, a training on choice of services and settings that will happen in November of this year. We'll begin 2024 with a presentation on dignity, respect, and control. In March of 2024, we'll have a training on restrictions, and we'll end this series in May of 2024 with a training about provider-owned and controlled settings, rules, and modifications. I'd like to start today's discussion with a music video produced by Open Futures Learning, starring Roger Crown, music by Michael Steinbrook and Andrew Marocco. It's called What I'd Say.
If you could read my mind like some old street sign, you'd know for sure just how I'm inclined. But hey, that's not the only way, 'cause I'm speaking to you in 1,000 ways every day. I may not be much with words, but I got much to say. If my thoughts aren't heard, I can lead the way. So please don't try to speak for me. So a bit of faith and a little reciprocity. Well, I'm not here to tag along. There are places I belong. So if I knew that you were listening to me, here's what I'd say. Here's what I'd say. Have the right for folks to love stars above me, the right to go where I would care to be. To hang around on Main Street, go out and spend my money, 'cause in the end, you know we're all or none free. If you walk with me there, side by side, into your world, could you carry your head high? And are you brave enough to see? Help me share with others all the things you see in me. 'Cause it's not about disability, it's a human thing to share the gift you bring. And we all have gifts, but some get tucked away. Someone out there needs a bit of what I have to give away. And I'm not here to tag along, there are places I belong. So if I knew that you were listening to me, here's what I'd say. Here's what I'd say. I have the right for folks to love me, to wish on stars above me, right to go where I would care to be. Hang around on Main Street, go out and spend my money, 'cause in the end, you know we're all or none free. Tag along, there are places I belong.
Think for a minute about what struck you. What did you hear? When I listen, I hear several messages. The lyrics remind us how important it is to focus on listening to what others have to say, encouraging, not letting people to speak for themselves, and to walk with people to help others see what good people have to offer. This is critical to our work in supporting people to make and share their choices with us. As we prepare to take a dive into supporting choice, I think it's also important for us to quickly revisit the home and community-based settings rule, why the home and community-based settings rule was established, and what the home and community-based settings rule requires. In January 2014, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, issued a final rule as part of the federal healthcare law to ensure that Medicaid's home and community-based services provide full access to the benefits of community living and offer services in the most integrated settings. It was established to ensure that states receiving federal Medicaid funds meet the needs of the individuals who choose to receive their long-term services and supports in their home or community rather than in an institutional setting. In describing the rule's intent, CMS says that individuals need full access to the benefits of community living and the opportunity to receive services in the most integrating setting appropriate. Its intent is to enhance the quality of HCBS and provide protections to participants. Service planning must be developed through a person-centered process that addresses health and long-term services and support needs in a manner that reflects the individual's preference and goals. The home and community-based settings rule requires that all people with or without disabilities receiving Medicaid, home and community-based services, and supports have access to the same kind of choice and control over their own lives as those not receiving Medicaid HCBS services and supports. and that all people with or without disabilities receiving Medicaid, HCBS services, and supports have independence in making life choices that include daily activities, physical environment, and personal associations. This means that people we support make the same kind of choices and have the same control or authority that people who are not receiving these types of services. They have the same choice and control as anyone else who lives in the community. They make choices about how they will live their lives. They choose what to do each day, whether it is to go to work, go to school, or retire. They choose where they spend time, at home and in the community. They choose who they do things with, their friends and staff. The home and community-based settings rule requires individuals have the opportunity to choose providers, their schedules, where and when they work, and who their friends are, and what their community looks like. It requires individuals the opportunity to choose where they live, who they live with, where they shop, and what relationships are important. The home and community-based settings rule requires the opportunity to make choices no matter how big or small. Let's think about for a minute the choices we make each day. Think about your daily schedule. Who decides when you go to bed and get up? Do you ever just stay up late watching a movie even though you know you have to get up early the next day? Do you ever hit the snooze button one more time and grab a quick breakfast and put your dishes in the sink to do later? These are simple choices we typically make every day. There are other choices that are bigger choices, like deciding how to spend money. We might have said last week that we were saving money to buy a gift for our girlfriend or boyfriend, but then we heard about this new movie we went to see, and we used the money to take our significant other on a date. And then there are even bigger choices that might include deciding that instead of spending the holidays with our family, we're going to stay home and invite a few friends over. The presentation scheduled for November of 2023 will cover choice of settings and services. Today, we're going to talk specifically about the big and little choices people make every day and how to support individuals making these choices. In 2018, the Bureau of Disability Services was awarded a Living Well grant to support community integration of individuals with disabilities. The Living Well Steering Committee, comprised of providers, self-advocates, Indiana Disability Rights, the Governor's Council for People with Disabilities, Indiana Institute of Community and Disability, and state officials, facilitated the activities through the grant. The Living Well Steering Committee developed a definition of choice that clearly defines how we should interpret choice and things to remember when supporting someone to make informed choices. Our definition of choice reads, choice is when anyone has ownership and control in their daily life and decisions, with opportunities to seek information, explore and consider a variety of available possibilities, and request guidance, advice, and other supports. Choice includes the ability to take risks, to succeed, to fail, to try again, and to change one's mind, as well as the assurance of respect for decisions and support to follow through. As we navigate through the rest of the presentation, this definition is going to drive the discussions on supporting individuals with choice. We all make choices every day. Some choices may not require a lot of thought. Some are more complex, and some may be life-changing. It's important to recognize that when you consider a simple choice may be a little more complex for someone else, and what is complex for you may be a simple choice for someone else. It's important to always meet the individual where they are when it comes to making a choice. And it's most important to remember, no matter how complex the decision is for an individual, the individual always remains the one leading the entire decision-making process, and individuals must be the one making the final choice. I think it's important, before we discuss some of the ways choice happens, we look at the positive outcomes from individuals making choices. The Council on Quality and Leadership, CQL, is a national organization that has used the personal outcome measures for over 25 years to determine if people are living their best lives by having the necessary supports to achieve their outcomes. CQL has a database containing the results of over 10,000 interviews. This data is being used because CQL has a system built in to assess the reliability and validity of their statistics. CQL found that when we provide individuals with information and education about exploitation, they are 2.5 times more likely to be free from mistreatment. The education provides knowledge which can help an individual find their voice. CQL found that when we support people to learn about their medical issues and their impact, they are 11.6 times more likely to have their best possible health. I think it's important to clarify here that the awareness and best possible health does not mean the individual is cured. What it means is they have a better understanding of their health needs, leading them to make choices that can impact how they feel. For example, someone who understands diabetes is more likely to take their insulin if they know how the decision will support them in feeling better than if they choose to not take their insulin. When we provide information about options for community involvement, people are 6.5 times more likely to participate in the life of the community in the way they choose. Again, the education provides knowledge as to what is happening in the community, and an individual can choose those events and activities which match their interests. Most of us are more likely to participate in activities we enjoy when we assist people to explore and evaluate their experiences in order to make informed choices about intimate relationships. They're 3.9 times more likely to have intimate relationships. Remember that an intimate relationship can take many forms and fulfill many needs. Sometimes it's a deep fondness for an individual based on trust and friendship with whom you can truly be yourself. Sometimes it is a relationship that includes physical intimacy. The spectrum is long and can fulfill both physical and emotional needs. The evaluation of successful and failed relationships can help us grow and provide us with more knowledge the next time we choose to establish a relationship with someone. Every day we make choices that seem to just happen, or we make choices without really thinking, I think I have to go make a choice. Have you ever just sat down to watch TV, turn it on, and read the title of a show, and thought to yourself, I think I want to watch this for a while? Or do you ever have days that you know you don't really have any plans for the day, so you decide to stay in your pajamas and not really do anything? Or you may have stayed home and decided that you're hungry, and even though when you went to the store you planned to have chicken casserole for dinner, you change your mind and eat cereal and toast instead. We all make choices without thinking, what is that we need to know to make that choice? Where do we need to get this information? How do we explore and evaluate our available options, or even request guidance, advice, or other supports? We just make the choice. There are some choices that may not be a natural part of our day or a major life event. There may be times that choices may require us to think about the decision we want to make and what the outcome may look like. When making these decisions, we begin to explore the risks that may be involved, the enjoyment that we may gain from the decision, and the steps that would be required to make the experience meet our expectations. These choices may include, do I want to cut my hair so I have bangs? Or should I participate in the latest hair trend and have my barber give me a mullet? These choices may also include, do I want to vacation or do I want to paint my bedroom blue? Then there are the big decisions that could be life-changing. These decisions could include a major purchase, housing options, recommended medical care, or even relationships. Most of these decisions are difficult for anyone to make, and often we rely on our community or people who are important to us to walk through the decision-making process with us. The community that offers support will look different for each person. An individual's community can include family, friends, spouses, partners, neighbors, coworkers, or support groups. The importance of community is that it includes the people who are important to the individual. When focusing on the community, it's imperative that the community doesn't make the decision for us. Instead, we might seek information, explore and consider a variety of available possibilities, and request guidance and advice and other supports. These decisions are often not easy and should not be made quickly. They require time to process the information in order for the individual to make the decision that they want to make. As we think about decisions and supporting individuals, it's important to consider the people that make up an individual's community or those who help support the individual in making choice. If an individual has a guardian, there are choices and rights that are the responsibility of the guardian. Last year, the Bureau of Disability Services and Indiana Disability Rights joined together to do a presentation on guardianship and decision-making. This presentation pointed out that even with a guardian in place, there are also choices that an individual still has a right to make and should be included in all decisions which affect them. Some of those rights that were discussed include privacy in their sleeping or living unit, having the protection of a lease, choice of roommates, having a lockable door and key, freedom and support to control their own schedule and activities, having access to food at any time, and having visitors of their choosing at any time. Individuals, to the greatest extent possible, lead or direct their PCISP planning process and team meeting, as well as have their perspectives, wishes, and goals addressed and considered when identifying services and living arrangements. Even if an upcoming choice may be the responsibility of a guardian, the individual should also be involved in these decisions. Now, many will say that this is often easier said than done. When a guardian is involved, it is a good practice to have regular conversations with the guardian and the individual, explaining the importance of the individual being included to allow the opportunity to begin exploring how to make good informed decisions to help the individual determine what's important to the individual for the future. And if the guardian becomes unable to support the individual in making choices, the individual has experience in navigating through the choice process. Including the individual in these conversations and supporting the individual to gain skills in advocating for themselves and communicating their wants to their guardian should take place throughout the entire decision-making process. There are going to be guardians that believe they are in control of all decisions and activities. It's important to share resources surrounding the home and community-based settings rule with guardians, so they understand the rights afforded through the settings rule, as well as have the understanding that waiver services are not provided to implement the directions of a guardian that may contradict what the individual wants. Keeping in mind that guardians are likely coming from a place of love, and the journey through life with their loved one, which may not have been easy, has guided the directions they are taking, makes the need for frequent private conversations even more important. Take time to listen to what the guardian has to say. What are they worried about? What do they want for the individual in the future? Does this align with the individual? These are the greatest starts to important conversations. When meaningful conversations are happening, it becomes easier to define the why behind the guardian's decisions, as well as the why behind what is driving the individual towards what they want. As the why becomes clear, the trajectory of the conversation begins to lead to addressing the concerns and ways to support the individual's needs to make the decision that is important to them. Open communication is vital, and a willingness to be open-minded and listen on all parts is critical. Let's talk about Mirabelle and her mom. At one time, I supported Mirabelle, who wanted to get a job at a grocery store. Her guardian, who was also her mother, wanted her to stay at the day programming. Knowing how important this was to Mirabelle, we arranged a meeting with her guardian, and a couple of trusted staff that were trusted by both her guardian and the individual. Prior to this meeting, we asked them both to think about what they were worried about, why they think the other person wants something different, and what supports they think are needed. We actually met with this individual and worked her through this list and wrote them down for her. We also supported Mirabelle to learn how to listen and talk with her mom. During the meeting, there was a lot of discussion and sharing. Mirabelle found out that her mom was afraid that Mirabelle would not be successful and would become depressed. Mirabelle told her mom that she loved that she was worried about her, and she was worried about getting fired herself, but knew that if she did get fired, that her mom and the other important people in her life would still love her. It was a risk she was willing to take. Mom was worried that if she left the day program, that she would not be able to go back. We agreed that we would talk to the program staff and see if they could hold her spot for a few months and find out what their policy was about Mirabelle returning. In the end, Mirabelle left the day program with Mom's reluctant support, but Mirabelle was successful in her job at the grocery store, and she's still working there today. Mirabelle's story showed us a great example of supporting an individual to make a choice and see it through. Now would be a good time to look at the process and discuss in greater detail how we can support individuals to make the choices that the individual wants to make. Remember that the choice is made may not be what you would choose for the individual, but the choice is clearly what is important to them. Before we continue, let's briefly revisit the definition of choice. Choice is when anyone has ownership and control in their daily life and decisions, with opportunity to seek information, explore and consider a variety of available possibilities, and request guidance, advice, and other supports. Choice includes the ability to take risks, to succeed, to fail, to try again, and to change one's mind, as well as the assurance of respect for decisions and support to follow through. If someone you are supporting is making a choice and you are educating the individual to seek out information they need, you don't have to provide the information to them. You want to make sure the individual has access to the information that they need. It's important to make sure that the information they have access to is presented in a format that the individual can understand and relate to. This is going to vary for each person and may at times require you to think outside of the box. Just because an individual doesn't communicate using words does not mean the individual does not communicate. If you're familiar with the individual that you are supporting, you should be aware of the best way to provide information to them. This may be through technology, a preferred language, or a form of communication that is unique to the individual. No matter how an individual communicates, it's important to make sure that the information you are sharing with them is that preferred method. Supporting an individual to have the information that they need also doesn't have to be a scheduled activity or a scripted event. It isn't necessary to say to the individual who is making the choice, "Let me help you seek information about that," or "This is a good time to discuss what it is that you want to do." Opportunities for meaningful conversation happen all the time and can happen when you least expect them. If you are actively listening to what people say, you will have an unlimited number of opportunities to support the individual in gathering the information that may support them. There are endless questions you can ask in order to seek the right information, but starting with, what information do I need? Where can I get the information? And what supports do I need is a great place to start. Let's talk about Jules, who is deciding if she wants to move to a different neighborhood. Jules has lived in the same apartment building for 9 years. Jules mentioned that it might be time to move to a different neighborhood closer to her friends and her job. Jules knew she needed to determine how much money she could afford for rent, when her current lease expires, how much notice she has to give her current landlord, what was important to her to have in her new location, and then she needed to explore areas around her jobs and friends that might be places she would like to live. Jules got out the copy of her lease that she had at home, and she began looking it over. Jules' support worker helped her write down all the information that she needed from the lease. Jules confirmed how much she spent in rent each month, when the lease expired, and how much notice she has to give to the landlord. Jules also asked her support staff to help her write down the things she wanted to have if she moved. It was important to be clean, have access to city transportation, have few stairs, and if there was a community pool near, that would be a bonus. Jules had been asking her friends at work about places to rent that were around there. Jules' friends gave her some options, so she asked her support staff to go with her to look at these options. Jules gathered information from each place that she visited and then returned home to compare the options and decide what she wanted to do. All of the things she did prior to moving supported her decision in choosing a place to live that met most or all of her needs. The information gave her the confidence and autonomy to make a choice. Let's talk about Jacob and his love for the band Styx. Jacob learned that Styx was going to be performing at a local venue and couldn't wait for the opportunity to go. Jacob knew that he needed to find out when exactly the concert was, where it was going to be, what time the performance started, how much tickets were, and of course, did any of his friends want to go? Jacob also knew he would need some support to get all this information. Jacob started by going to the library with his support staff and looking up the information on the internet. Jacob wasn't sure exactly how to find the information about the upcoming concert, so he asked his support staff to help him do the research. Jacob and the support staff looked up all the information and found out the concert was in 4 months. It started at 8:30. Tickets were $56.85 with fees, and they were going to go on sale in 2 weeks. Jacob then found out how much money he had in the bank to make sure he could afford his tickets, and then he asked a few friends from work if they wanted to go. And a few months later, Jacob was sitting in an amphitheater with his friends listening to his favorite band, Styx. Jacob was able to ask for assistance and gather the information he needed to enjoy the concert with his friends. Sometimes making decisions aren't as easy as it was for Jacob. For example, your favorite band is coming to an area nearby, and you know you would enjoy the music that they are going to be playing, but you also know that you don't always enjoy large crowds. The tickets might be a little costly, and it might be scheduled a little later than you like to be out. Those are not reasons to not go see your favorite band. It just means you might need to take a little extra time to decide. You might need to ask others for support or ideas that would make the event enjoyable for you. You could also explore what options are. Maybe being familiar with the venue would make it a little easier. Maybe you can try to win tickets through the radio station or ask your sister for an early birthday present. There could be a group of friends who like the same band and music, so you could host a party that plays the biggest and best music videos and music for that band. These are just a few examples of individuals seeking the information that they need to make a decision. It is important to note in these examples, the individuals had support to get the information that they needed. Jacob and Jules asked for support to gather the information, but ultimately they made the final decision. Sometimes individuals need support to just understand what all the options are. We've spent some time talking about ownership and control of decisions. Now we will visit the next part of the definition, exploring and considering a variety of possibilities. Part of supporting individuals to make choices, educating them on an array of possibilities. The possibilities may not be the things we would choose for ourselves or for them. That is why it is helpful to know what is important to and important for the individual. It is important not to limit opportunities due to our own experiences, fears, and beliefs. Supporting choice includes the ability to take the risk, to succeed, to fail, to try again, and to change one's mind, as well as the assurance of respect for decisions and support to follow through. Risk must be part of the choice equation. The risk should not completely drive the decision. Person-centered risk management was discussed in a previous presentation and included a full discussion on risk management, risk assessment, and risk mitigation. You'll find a link to this training on the resources page at the end of this presentation. As individuals are seeking education and information about a choice they want to make, it's important to include the conversation, the risks that may be involved, barriers that may present themselves, and other options that are available that the individual might enjoy or possibly isn't aware of. It is also important at this time to remember to focus on the positive what ifs that do exist. Risk does not always mean only negative outcomes. If an individual is excited about going out with friends for an evening of dinner, drinks, and dancing, it is easy to list out all the possible negative outcomes that could occur. What also needs to be addressed is that the individual will go out and try a new type of food that they've never tried before. They may have a few drinks, and then they will go dance and have the time of their lives with their friends. Let me stop now and caution you. Playing the what if game can paralyze decision making. Now let's discuss what we should do to support individuals. There are several ways to explore possibilities. We want to think about our options. To assist people with exploring their options, we may assist them with talking to experts or people that we know who have experience watching. We can watch YouTube videos, movies, or read books and magazines about the subject. When identifying experts or people with experience, think about people that you know that may be someone the individual can talk with. For example, if someone really loves cooking and trying new foods, but all the people they know consider a grilled cheese sandwich gourmet cooking, it might be necessary to expand the circle and see if anyone knows someone who is a good cook. You might learn that someone knows a restaurant owner who will invite the individual to spend some time at the restaurant observing and helping. You might also learn that someone's cousin is a self-made chef and loves to teach people new skills. The possible outcomes of these experiences are unlimited, and the individual may identify new things they would love to try. Another example could be that an individual is interested in going camping but has never been. The staff may assist them in finding a YouTube video that demonstrates how to put up a tent, and the recreation therapist could help them enroll in an outdoor cooking class at the local REI store. The complexity of the decision to be made impacts how much time one would spend looking at options. If an individual is trying to decide what to have for dinner, the options may be more limited. There are factors to consider, such as where they live, how much money they have, and whether they can order from Grubhub or Uber Eats. If an individual is trying to decide how to spend their Saturday, there could be many more options available and may require more research. Decisions involving more of a life choice, such as buying a car, changing jobs, or moving, may require even more research and even more time. On the other hand, many coffee drinkers would agree there's always time for coffee. Often decisions could have multiple outcomes. Let's learn more about a choice Bob made. Bob tells you he would like to go to the park. You look outside and it's pouring down rain. You ask Bob what he wants to do at the park. Bob shares that he'd like to play basketball. You mention the current weather conditions and offer an alternative location to play basketball. Bob asks what his other options are. You explain he could wait until it stops raining and then go to the park, or he could go to the park and just hang out under the pavilion. He chooses going and hanging out under the pavilion because he guesses his friend Charlie will be there, and spending time with Charlie is what he desires more than playing basketball. You're not surprised by his choice because you know he hangs out with Charlie after basketball games. The more you know someone, the easier it is to offer alternative options. Our first instinct might have been to tell Bob we were not going out because it was raining. We thought in our head everything that could happen if we went out in the rain. When you think about that, you realize how silly a thought that is. We often go out when it's raining without considering any risks. Dignity of risk is having the right to choose and either succeed or fail. All individuals with and without disabilities have the right to exercise dignity of risk. When we are supporting individuals to make decisions, it's important to share possible risks as part of the information gathering process so they can decide if the desired outcome outweighs any risks. We'll discuss dignity of risk in an upcoming training, but it's important to mention it while discussing supporting individuals to make choice. Let's watch a short video that takes keeping individuals safe to an extreme.
Intellectual and learning disability services tell us that people with disabilities can't stay up late because...
Health and safety reasons. We need to keep them safe.
Well, how safe?
Oh, I go now, see you later.
Hold on. Gotta keep you safe, haven't we? Right, there we go. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Okay.
We're going home.
Yeah.
Okay, all done. Well, do you know what, actually, it's probably best if you don't go out. Yeah, health and safety reasons, obviously.
And go and sit down.
The bubble wrap and not going out are designed to protect the individual and ensure they are not harmed. Protecting individuals is often our first instinct and may prohibit them from experiencing new things and preventing them from enjoying their best life. Decisions that are risky can be scary, often because we fear the unknown and expect the worst. The fear can be reduced by thinking through the risks and applying strategies to minimize them. This is important so we don't end up wrapping the individual in imaginary bubble wrap and not supporting the choices they want to make. Instead, we should explore with the person, what are the possible outcomes? What is the best way to support the individual in understanding those outcomes? And how can we support the individual to explore those outcomes in the safest way possible? All while keeping in mind the individual is the one driving the decision. Included on this slide, you will also find the link to the Bureau of Disability Services Quality Assurance website. The included link is a direct link to the website where you can find many person-centered risk management trainings and tools. Individuals may want or need guidance, advice, or support from others when making a choice. Our role is to support the person as they work through the decision-making process and only to the degree that they want or need. We support them to find the information. We might read it to them, reword things, or just point them in the right direction, identify and explore possibilities. We might just listen to them work through, suggest options, share stories about personal experiences, and then make an informed decision. It is our responsibility to respect the decisions individuals make, not to tell them what to do, not to judge them, stop them, or call their mother. Remember, not all decisions require all the steps, and the intent of the support you offer should always be to support the individual with following through with whatever they decide. It's important when you are offering guidance, advice, or support to do this in an environment that is comfortable for the individual. Not all topics are meant for team meetings. Individuals may need time to think about options, ask private questions, experience positive and negative emotions about outcomes, or try out different options. Supporting an individual allows you to assist the individual while going through all the steps and emotions, and it may require you to support the individual to make sure others know what is important to them and what they have decided to do. Your role as a supporting person is to be the microphone for the individual's voice in a setting that makes them most comfortable. Remember, when supporting someone to make a choice, what is routine and customary for you does not mean that it's routine and customary for the person you're supporting. Everyone's beliefs, routines, desires, risks, and dislikes are different, and all those things must be considered when supporting someone to make the choice they want to make. Just because you take a shower every day does not mean everyone takes a shower every day. Just because you have diabetes and follow a particular diet does not mean everyone follows that same diet. If you go to bed every night at 8 p.m., that doesn't mean that everyone else goes to bed by 8 p.m. Just because you've worked for the same company for 15 years does not mean that everyone wants to have the same job for the rest of their life. All of these things represent choices that we all make, and based on each of our beliefs, routines, desires, risks, and dislikes, the possibilities are endless and the outcomes are unique to each of us. And remember, when individuals make choices, sometimes they change their mind, and that's okay. When people change their mind, it could be before the activity starts, and sometimes it could be right in the middle of doing the activity. And that's when someone decides there's something else they would rather be doing. Whether the individual follows through with their original decision or changes their mind, our support continues. With every choice comes opportunity. Opportunity to support the individual in exploring the outcome, celebrate the success that is present no matter how big or small, and to support the individual in identifying what could have been done differently. Let's explore the outcome. Once an individual has decided to do something and does it, the next step is to explore the outcome. This doesn't have to be done in a sit-down conversation with graphs and charts and checklists. This can be as simple as asking the person to tell you about their experience and then having a conversation. Did the individual enjoy what they were doing? What did they like best? What did they not like? Do they want to do it again? These conversations will provide a ton of information that may come in handy in the future when the individual is making a similar choice. What you may think is a positive or negative outcome may not be the same for the individual. It's important to remember just because someone doesn't want to do something again does not mean it was not a successful opportunity. It just means the person wanted the experience, they had the experience, and that's all they were looking for. Individuals may want to do something similar the next time, maybe modify parts of what they did, or never do anything like that again. Part of exploring is celebrating a successful experience. So what does success look like? Success can be measured in a variety of ways, and it can be measured throughout the journey and not just at the final destination. Sometimes trying something different in and of itself is a success. Let's consider Sly's success story. Sly was trying to decide if he could call an individual he was interested in hanging out with. He thought about it for days, and when he finally dialed the number, the person was very excited, and they talked for an hour. They decided to meet up after basketball practice at the bakery. When Sly got off the phone, he celebrated with a fist bump and said, "That was so much easier than I expected. Next time, I'm not going to stew over something simple like a phone call." The celebration can be as simple as a shout out, enjoying the moment, or even a dinner out. Even with success, there is also opportunity to look at what could be done differently. As we mentioned earlier, an outcome of making choices is personal growth. To grow, we need to evaluate the experience and determine what worked, what didn't work, and what you might do differently the next time. Individuals should be encouraged and supported to work through the process, also if desired. Exploring outcomes could also include those times after an experience you say to yourself, "Well, I shouldn't ever do that again," or "That wasn't what I expected. If I ever do that again, I'm going to change this." I may have had a great time at the concert with my friends, but the concert in the middle of July, and even at 10 p.m., the temperature outside was 90 degrees. This doesn't mean I won't ever go to the concert again. Going to the concert was an exciting experience for me, but the weather was terrible. The next time I go, I may go to the concert when it's not as hot. Let's talk about Cassandra. She loves going to thrift stores. Thrift store shopping was something Cassandra did every weekend. She had a schedule of all the times the store opened and loved to visit them in a specific order every time. Cassandra had been talking about wanting to get a job and thought one of the thrift stores she visited each week might be the perfect place to work. Cassandra had visited the thrift store so frequently that she and the owner had become friends. She went to try out a job at the thrift store. Cassandra began her day sorting through donations and setting them out in the store. Sometimes the dust would bother her hands and she would have to go to the bathroom and wash her hands frequently. Cassandra would talk to the customers and enjoyed sharing stories with the owner. What Cassandra quickly learned was she loved the socializing with her friends and the store owner, and she loved to see all the new things that came in, but she also learned that the dust bothered her and she would rather just be there to talk to her friends. Although this job did not work out, she learned a lot about what she wanted and what she didn't want. Now let's look at a couple short videos from Open Futures Learning. One starring Stephen, who provides an overview of his day's spin out and shows several different natural choices that Stephen has made throughout the day. And the other video stars Fionn and shows his experience with social media.
Hi Stephen, you ready to go?
Hey, Elsie. How are you?
Good, thanks,
to see
how are you?
Oh, I didn't know you,
I'm Stephen. And she supports me.
Elsie, you're such an angel to be doing this work. You must be so patient. Well done anyway, yeah? I'll see you later, okay?
What's that about?
Well, some people seem to think there's something special about supporting people with disabilities just to do the same things that everyone else does.
Oh, how interesting. I really need some toilet rolls.
Should we go to the shop before we go to the cinema?
Yeah.
Hello, young man. You've been doing your shopping? Well done you. What have you got?
Toilet rolls.
Wow, you have bought your own toilet rolls. You must feel so proud of yourself. You are an inspiration. I am so inspired by you.
Is this for real?
I just think some people find it hard to understand that people with disabilities can do things independently.
For fuck's sake.
Well, really, I do not think that sort of language is appropriate.
Sorry?
I don't think it's appropriate for someone like you to use language like that. It's not appropriate.
Explain that one to me.
When you have a disability, especially a visually recognisable one like Down syndrome, I think sometimes people see you as an eternal child and they see you doing things like drinking alcohol, smoking, swearing, and they just get upset about it.
Well, that's fucking weird.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good, thanks. 2 tickets to Born Again, please.
Born Again, that'll be £7.
Stephen's paying.
Oh, right. £7. Thank you. Here's your £3 change.
That's my money, my change.
Right, sorry. Okay, so that's £1, £2, and that's £3 change in total. Keep that safe, okay? Here's your 2 tickets. Oh, here's your tickets, okay? Well done. Enjoy the film. Oh, wait, guys, did you manage to get your van into the disabled parking space?
I don't drive.
Don't you hate it when people use those spaces when they don't need them?
No, we walked.
Oh look, there he is.
Hi, Steve.
Alright.
See you guys later.
Not come out?
Yeah, let's go see the movie. What a day.
Bad day, honey?
There's some strange people out there. Cheers.
Cheers.
Will I have to drink this?
Yeah, why not?
Cheers.
We just had the opportunity to observe Stephen's day. It's clear that Stephen is in charge of all parts of his day. The errands he ran, the friends he spent time with, the language he uses, and the refreshments he enjoys are all things that Stephen is comfortable with doing. Although Stephen is approached by several different people in the community who voice a different idea of what Stephen should be doing, Stephen's support person continues to support Stephen and does not try to change what Stephen is doing based off the comments made by others in the community.
Social media is a great place to stay in contact with friends. Wow, and make new ones too. I just got a new friend request and she's beautiful. It's there. Make sure you know and trust the person before accepting a friend request.
Social media is an important part of society. Fionn talks about how he uses social media to stay in contact with friends. Social media does come with risks. There are people who use social media to try to take advantage of others, and anyone who uses social media is at risk for this to happen to them. We watch as Fionn is contacted by a pretty girl and he accepts a request to connect. As a result, his bank account gets hacked. A quick response in these situations would be to immediately remove all social media and only allow access to a computer if Fionn is supervised, similar to wrapping him in bubble wrap. Instead, it is important to remember that Fionn is connected to his friends and he uses social media to stay in contact. Eliminating this from Fionn's life would not be a positive way to support him. There are things that can be done to help Fionn look at what he might do differently and how he can be safe on social media while respecting his privacy and right to have friends. It's important to start these conversations with Fionn by asking him to talk about the experience and see if he can identify what worked and what didn't work. Decisions and supports can be developed following the evaluation process. We've talked a lot about supporting choice, decision-making, and evaluating the experience. We acknowledge the need to be open-minded and that decisions may come with risks. We will now wrap up our conversation with some strategies you can implement with your staff to support individuals with making choice. Practice. People learn by practicing a skill. Supporting individuals to make choice is a skill and should be practiced. One way to do this is during a staff meeting, you can break the DSPs into groups and give them a scenario where an individual is faced with making a decision. Each group works through the scenario by identifying ways to seek information, explore and consider a variety of available possibilities, and what guidance, advice, and other supports they could offer. They can also determine what success looks like and evaluate if it was achieved. Another idea might be practice having conversations. Take the time during staff meetings or development opportunities to discuss good listening skills, how to pick up on things that might be of interest to someone, what are questions you can ask that will engage someone enough to support them to talk to you about the things they want to do. They could also share stories about how they supported individuals in making decisions. Model. Supporting choices and supporting individuals isn't just the job of the DSP. Everyone has a responsibility to make sure their actions support all individuals to live their best lives. It is important that all staff model the principles discussed during today's session. Take the opportunity to coach staff when you witness or see opportunity to support decision-making. Celebrate their successes as well. Any member of an individual's support team can offer a kind word or other form of positive recognition to a team member that has supported an individual in making choice. Organizations that incorporate Charting the Life course into their company culture and staff training have a toolbox of resources that can be used to develop staff's skills when providing support. When staff are empowered to have meaningful, thoughtful conversation with individuals, this can lead to a better support for the individual, a better understanding for the individual's vision of a good life, and make positive impact on the experiences that are presented. Some examples would be the trajectory and the STAR to determine support needs. We can also use them to identify staff who have similar interests with individuals, which leads to better relationships with the individual and staff providing a more enriched relationship. Recently, we received feedback from a provider whose agency had just completed a quality on-site provider review and has used the Charting the Life course information resources to improve the support that their agency provides. This agency stated, I was able to implement a PCISP client profile section in the positive behavior supports plan under section 1. This included resources provided during technical assistance, such as the STAR chart, life domain vision tool, and integrated support schedule. All intakes and annual plans will now have a PCISP profile for section 1 before the FBA results and behavior objectives. I believe this is the result of the assistance I received. The review is a proactive way of improving perpetual quality. This allows me to move proactively to ensure the client's wants and needs are factored into every element of documentation and service delivery. Charting the Life course offers many tools and techniques that may be beneficial when hiring and training staff. We can apply the Charting the Life course concepts to supporting individuals with choice making, as well as working to improve an organization's company culture. You will find the link to the State of Indiana's Charting the Life course tools, as well as the Life Course Nexus on the resource slide at the end of the presentation. We've used Open Futures Learning throughout this presentation, and it's been used in previous presentations. Open Futures Learning can be beneficial when developing support staff, as it allows support staff the opportunity to learn information from the perspective of the individual. Open Futures Learning offers short videos, training modules, as well as side-by-side modules that can bring additional value to anyone that takes time to utilize the resources available. Registration information for Open Futures Learning will be available on the resource slide coming up. This brings us to the end of our presentation. As always, we want to remind you of our mission to ensure that all people are empowered to live, love, work, learn, play, and pursue their dreams. Remember that we're in this together. If you need additional information, you can contact BDS help at fssa.in.gov or the 800 number attached. As always, this is your reminder to stay connected with the Indiana Bureau of Disability Services by signing up for the DDARS listserv. And don't forget to follow the Indiana Bureau of Disability Services on Facebook. The Bureau of Disability Services Quality Assurance website includes information on the quality on-site provider review process, previously presented webinars, home and community-based settings rule, and investigations, and is an important resource to use when looking for tools you can implement. Also included on this additional resources slide is the link to Open Futures Learning, Charting the Life course, and the Person-Centered Risk Management training. You will receive a follow-up email from Zoom probably within the next 24 hours. Please complete the evaluation included in the email so we can improve future trainings. I appreciate everyone attending today. And now I'm going to take some time to see if Kim has any questions that may have come up.
So far, no. Lots of thank yous. Some people really enjoyed Stephen's video. And just you had answered this throughout, but there were just some questions about where some of those previous trainings can be found. And so, as you had mentioned, those are available on our quality assurance website, as well as our FSSA YouTube channel. And then lots of thank yous.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kim, for attending today. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. And don't forget to reach out if you have any additional questions. Thank you.